What's going on, good people? Rich here.
It's your girl Ray P on the mic. What's going on, everybody?
Hey, we back at it again with another episode of the Culture Garden podcast.
We
It's
back.
feeling good today, man. I'm feeling
Yeah.
good.
What's up, coach?
You know what I mean? Yeah, eighth grade team just, won another championship. You know
Come
what I'm
on.
saying?
Come
Just saying
on.
that's 4 in a row, man. I'm just
Throw
saying
it,
that's 4 in a row,
throw it in
man.
things.
Four of
Quite
them things, man. Damn, I should have played that Gibbs and Big Sean, man. We can get like four things.
a.
But
I
shout out to my eighth graders, man. Getting the job done. 4 games over 3 days. Tournament 4 times in a row. Had this group since they was fourth graders. I told them I'm
Oh,
officially retired. Yeah, man. So I've seen them grow from like little kids that could barely dribble to like deep ass
champ.
voices. Yeah. You know what I mean? That first year we had 6 kids.
Oh,
You know what I
wow.
mean? So to see it grow and have 11 and stuff like that. I think last year we had 13. Like it was just been
Mhm.
nuts. So
You
it's
said
been cool, man. You said what?
you said you retiring.
Yeah, I'm retired, man. They eighth graders now. They going to high school. I told them, man, I'm cool. I got it. I want to be a fan now. I want to be a fan. At least for a couple years. Not full time. I'm not retiring for good, but
Okay. I was gonna
I
say,
need
well,
a year or two back.
graders.
Yeah, I need a year or two or something, man. It's time
Okay.
consuming. It's time consuming. I
Yeah.
love it though. It's one of the best things I've gotten into.
Amen.
Like
I
for
love
real. Like, yeah, coaching, man. Giving back to the youngins, man. One of the kids told me, man, he was like, Coach, it's been the best like 5 years of my life.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Feel the way. Because at first it made me laugh because I'm like, man, you in eighth grade, bro. Like, you just getting started. But at the same time, man, this is kind of making an impact, man. These kids,
absolutely.
like 10 years from now, going to call me coach. So
Yeah.
that's pretty dope, man. It's pretty dope. So I'm feeling good, man. Also, just, we in the swing of things. We've been some recording fools. So just,
Bruh.
feel me? Yeah, a lot of recording going on. And as time consuming as it is, it also, like, puts you in a rhythm.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
turn the mics on. Let's go. Let's get it.
Let's
You
get
know
it.
what I mean?
Let's go.
Straight up. But before we get started in today's episode, we want to thank y'all for tuning in to us. As always, whether you watching on YouTube, you listening on your favorite podcast platform, thank you, man. I'm amazed that every single week we get a chance to get in front of these microphones, just talk about these films, about these television shows, and we're so grateful for it. So thank you for rocking with us. Please remember to subscribe. Like if you can for real, like press pause and like leave a review.
Yeah,
Give us a rating on whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever the case may be. It really just helps us and gets us out there a little bit further. Remember to share it with your friends and follow us on social media. We are on Instagram at the Culture Garden Podcast.
hmm
Our link tree is in there. We have the We Got Y'all feed. That is a television feed for Culture Garden Podcast. We're currently talking about Your Honor, which comes on Showtime, as well as Harlem, which comes on Amazon Prime. We got one more week of that, and we got some more stuff coming for you throughout the year. So it's been a lot of fun. And as far as the Culture Garden goes, I hope everybody enjoyed Romance Month. It's officially over. We're back into our regular swing of things. So we appreciate y'all for that, man. And we're gonna get into a few requests too.
we got
Some
one
people.
more.
We gotta remember we're recording this. By the time this comes out, Romance Month gonna be over. See, I was trying to. I
Fair.
ain't gonna edit it out. I'm leaving this in too. I'm leaving it
Okay.
in. See, we were trying to pull a fast one on y'all. We recording this a little bit earlier due to some scheduling stuff. Ray P got a birthday coming up. You know what I mean?
Big Pisces.
You know what I mean? She's gonna be out the country, passport getting stamped. So we had to make some arrangements. That movie, which I guess you guys all know, is Creed.
Yeah.
Creed's coming out this Friday or tomorrow by the time you're listening to this. And we had to go ahead, or Creed 3, should I say, is coming out. And we had to go ahead and revisit the original. So we're going to be getting into it today. Like I said, shout out to y'all. Shout out to school. Let's get this thing rolling. So synopsis for Creed.
Mm-hmm.
And I got some questions for you. Because I'm curious to know a little bit of your knowledge about this whole thing. Okay, then cool. That's perfect because I get to see it from a different point of view. Because I am somebody who is familiar with Rocky, watched all the Rockies numerous times. Yeah, it's old, but it's one of those things. Like if you grew up, in the 90s, 80s baby, 90s kid, you just kind of know what Rocky's still a thing. The Rocky story of the underdog, the Rocky theme music, that's still a thing. So the sports person in me still wants to watch it. We'll talk about how those movies like look and age, but I'll get to that in a second. But the synopsis is the former world heavyweight champion Rocky Balboa serves as a trainer and mentor to Adonis Johnson, the son of his late friend and a former rival Apollo Creed. Let me ask you, Rachel.
Yes.
You just said you were not familiar with the Rocky, or I'm sure you're familiar with it and know Rocky exists, but you
Yeah.
never watched the movie. Have you, like, to this day, have you ever watched any of the Rockies?
Man, I ain't never seen that shit. Okay, I'm partially lying, but I'm mostly being for real.
Yeah.
I have seen clips and bits and pieces while it's on. But I don't think I've seen a single one of the originals start to finish.
Okay.
So I knew who Apollo Creed was. I knew the story, and essentially maybe that's just 80s baby, 90s kid
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing pretty much about movies, but I ain't never seen that shit all the way through. None of them.
Hey, listen, and that's respect, and that's what. Hey, I respect that because first of all, let me just tell you, as somebody who has, the original came out in 1976. So four of these movies. Let me just be clear: four of these films came out before I was even born.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Rachel and myself were even born,
Mhm.
and even if Rocky Five came out, I was 3 years old. You know what I mean? Then they had Rocky Balboa in '06. You know, and that was supposed to be the end of it. And most people don't even acknowledge Rocky Five as existing.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that I've ever heard
So
that one.
which one? Rocky Balboa?
5. I remember Rocky
Five?
Balboa because we was grown.
Yeah,
We
Rocky
got to
Five
see it.
is Rocky Five is like the I don't want to say Godfather 3 because Godfather 3 it gets a bad rap and it's going against two of the best movies ever made as far as part one and part two. But as far as if you take a collective series and there's obviously a weak link is Rocky Five. Like Die Hard, like Rocky's a big deal. Like you know what I mean? That whole franchise is huge. And there are diehard fans that just refuse to acknowledge that film's existence. That's how bad Rocky Five
Oh,
is.
wow.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? But my whole point of starting this was the original came out in 1976, and if you go back and watch that film, it looks like it was made in 1976.
Yeah.
Very slow pace. Like it's one of those if you didn't grow up with it, you wouldn't really want to. You probably wouldn't really be interested unless you just wanted to follow the Rocky story to tie it in with Creed.
Mhm.
Which leads me to my next question for you. Did you feel like you needed to watch the Rocky series? Did you like as a let's talk
Oh,
about first experiences.
okay.
So when you first saw this movie, obviously where were you all at? But did you feel like you just flowed right into it, or did you feel like, man, I need to go back and watch Rocky now?
No, I don't think I saw this in theaters.
Okay.
I might have caught it on, like, I always say HBO, but it could have come on Stars or something. So one of the premium cable channels was my first experience with this movie. Because I don't believe I saw it in the theater. I have no recollection of it if I did. No, I didn't feel like I missed anything not having seen and truly known the full backstory. I mean, I think they did a good job giving us just a little bit of it,
Hmm.
with sort of the intro or the preamble to this movie. Like I didn't feel like I missed anything by not having not seen those because I knew, okay, Creed died.
Yeah. Yeah.
He and
Absolutely.
Rocky had several fights. I've seen, I know the music, seen the steps, that whole scenario. I mean, you could have watched Fresh Prince and gotten that story,
Right. Absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
history of that. But no, I didn't think I missed anything.
Okay, then that's fair. That's fair. And if I hadn't seen, I feel the same way. I guess even though I've seen Rocky, I could watch this as a standalone. I saw watching the standalones now. Like Creed is my Rocky. You get what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
So I'm happy that they're continuing to make these films, and I hope we get as many as we did with Rocky. Well, hopefully not as many because, like I said, they got a little bit, you know, goofy towards the end, for lack of better terms. But Rocky Balboa wasn't terrible. The one that came out in '06. Um, but they weren't the same. Like there's a clear difference between Rocky One and Rocky Two, and kind of the rest of them.
Okay.
Like I said, '70s and '80s, a lot of Rocky Three has Booker T.
Okay.
It's Booker T, Mr. T, excuse me, playing
Uh-huh.
Mr. T playing Clubber Lang, and just a lot of racial undertones, just a lot of that stuff. I know Eddie Murphy in one of his stand-ups, I think it's Raw. He talks about when Rocky came out and it just kind of gave people a little bit of an extra little boost. Like, hold
Okay.
on, calm down, don't get your ass whooped.
Yeah.
You got Rocky to look up to. But it's a huge franchise. It's a huge thing. they have a statue of a fictional character in the city
Mhm.
of Philadelphia that
Oh,
people
wow.
come from all over the world to see and take pictures
And
with.
take pictures of, yeah. Is it
Yeah,
up the steps?
it was at the steps, and then they took it down. It's funny you say that because in Rocky Balboa, which came out in 2006, there was a reference to that. Like, how do you feel about them removing your statue? So they
Mhm.
removed the statue completely, and then it came back at the bottom of the steps, which we see in this film, and it's
Okay.
still there to this day. Like I said, so it's a fictional
Yeah,
character that has its own statue. Like, that's how important it is to that city.
to Philly.
Um,
As many times as I've been to Philly, I've never been to the steps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't remember. I know I saw it in theaters. I had to because I remember being excited about this,
Mhm.
and I don't know who I saw it with, if I was Dolo or not, but I just remember being fascinated with the world that Ryan Coogler created.
Yeah.
I didn't even think I wouldn't even my brain wouldn't even thought about making this universe of like continuing this story with the creeds, and just kind of reviving it. And I was like, man, I was very fascinated how they did it. And it was tremendous. This first run was tremendous. It was a great film. And I knew we'll get into some stats here in a second, but I knew Michael B. Jordan was out of here after this one. Like, this was the one where I just knew he was an A-lister.
Yeah.
Like, they was going, yeah, he was going, like, regardless of how you feel about Michael B. Jordan, we've had that conversation on this pod before, as far as like his, not necessarily him being an actor, but him being a thespian.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, I've always said he's more of a movie star, and that's no diss to him. Like, I'm a fan. I think he works very hard at his craft. I think he gets better with multiple performances. But when it comes to certain like things, he's not. You can tell, like I said, he's not trained as such as some of these other actors. Still
Maybe.
kills it, and he's a movie star. That, like, The Rock is a movie star. You know what I mean? He's not an actor. Tom Cruise, he may be borderline that. Some people might really be screaming at me right now saying Tom Cruise is a great actor. Like, he's had some great performances, but he's also a movie star. Sometimes you can be both. But
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on MBJ?
Man, Jonathan Majors is gonna eat that motherfucker alive. Do you hear me? I'm so geeked for Creed 3. The sequel was it left much to be desired. But
Yeah, sequel and
I'm
all that.
so geeked and ready to see this trilogy because one, Jonathan Majors is a thespian. That is an
Mm.
actor.
Yeah,
And
straight
to
up.
see his transformation, I don't know if that's even for this role between this and the 5011 other roles he's got lined up, and we're seeing him leading into this movie. And
You
they're
know,
out.
he's got the film as a bodybuilder coming up, so that's a lot to do with it as well.
Okay, bruh. He is about to smoke this shit. He is about to eat MBJ for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh
I
man, they about to get mad
cannot
at
wait. Like, I hope that this is not the end of whatever that's about to be. I hope that that becomes the Rocky and Apollo Creed rivalry back and forth situation. Like, wow, I'm geeked for that just off 2-minute trailers.
you. Yeah, no, I'm very excited. It's funny because the original Creed, I'm excited, and then when you hear about Victor Drago in the
Yeah.
second one, because that's such a big story in the Rockies franchise coming off of
Right.
Rocky 4,
Hmm.
you even more excited, but the movie didn't just hold up. It just fell flat. And I always try to figure out what it was, but something just wasn't there for me. I enjoy it, just wasn't as good as the first one. But this
Well,
one,
wasn't it missing Ryan Coogler?
it was definitely missing Ryan Coogler. I don't know if he had like a production credit or anything like that, but he wasn't directing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And Sylvester Stallone was set to direct, but then they ended up going with someone else. I can't remember the brother's name right now.
Yeah. I
Um,
think it's that touch.
yeah, I think Ryan Coogler's touch, and especially at that time, because him and MBJ were like in that zone,
Yeah.
coming off Fruitvale and all that.
Yeah, and the storyline of 2 isn't bad. Like, I get it,
Nah,
but
it's not.
something about it just, again, wasn't curling all the way over. So you take the high of Creed and then whatever you got with Creed 2 and juxtapose that with the excitement for, Creed 3, like, I'm geeked, and again,
Yeah, I
Michael
eh,
and Ryan are back together.
right. They are back together, and and Michael's directing this his directorial debut. I do want to say this, going back to the whole Michael B. Jordan point I was mentioning earlier. I think we said this in Black Panther. One thing about him
Mhm.
is when he is in the screen, when he has his scenes with Jamie Foxx and Just Mercy, when he has his scenes with Chadwick Boseman
Yeah.
in Black Panther, he does elevate his game. Like he
Yes.
doesn't get
Yes.
blown out. So I am curious to see how that Jonathan Majors chemistry, because it looks like from doing it, some seeing the press run, they have some really good chemistry. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Almost like it seems like they got real tight. So I wonder how much that's going to play in a good old fashioned story of former friends,
Mhm.
present foes, that whole nine. But I don't know when did you get familiar with Michael B. Jordan? Like when did he become like when was he famous to you?
Wire.
The Wire. Okay, then. So everybody knows how I feel about The Wire, and Wallace is a great character. For me, the one he doesn't get talked about enough, honestly speaking, Vince Howard, Friday Night Lights. I
Okay.
don't I don't know if you've ever seen Friday Night Lights.
I have
Shout
seen
out,
highlights. I
shout
just
out
wanna
to
play.
shout out to Brian, Culture Garden family. He's
Yes.
been on a few episodes with us. He's the one that got me hip to that because I don't
Mhm.
watch. If you give me a television show named after a movie, chances are I'm not going to watch it. Sort of like the Rush Hour television show. Season 1 or 2 of Lethal Weapon wasn't bad, but most of those things flop. This is one of the, like Friday Night Lights is like top 10 for me as far as television series. Maybe
Really?
even like top 7. Absolutely. I love that show. Like it's
Okay.
incredible. It's incredible. But Vince Howard in seasons 4 and 5, that was the one I was like, okay, then this I was already a fan of him, like I said, from The Wire. I was like, okay, then this kid like might be going places.
Okay.
And then, like
Very
I said, Fruitville came, and
Mhm.
that's when he really was like on the map. And then, like I said, Creed, when this came out, I'm like, oh, he out of here. He gone. He bona fide A-lister. And
Okay.
his career hasn't been the same since. It's
And I messed up because I was thinking Friday Night Lights, the movie. I did not get
no, no, no. The
I
television
didn't
series.
get into the series like that, so I was doing that Boobie Miles impression.
Nah, and the movie's cool, but I'm telling you, the
Okay,
series is phenomenal,
I
like
might have to
phenomenal,
look at
like
that.
one of the most slept on television. Like if people are watching All American, you know what I mean, and just that high school feel of like, I'm telling you, like Friday Night Lights is a phenomenal television show. I'll go to
Okay,
bat for it all day.
okay.
Um, like we'll definitely talk about it at some point on Culture Garden. Even if it's me talking to the mic by myself. Like I know Brian will talk about it with me. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll recruit him for that. But let's get
Okay.
into some stats for Creed real quick. Released November 25th, 2015. That date is to coincide with the 40th year anniversary of the original Rocky. Not the date it released, but there was like a fight, I believe, in the original Rocky that was on November 25th. So in 1975 or something of that nature. Directed or written by Ryan Coogler. Aaron Covington also has a writing credit for the screenplay. Coogler was a part of the screenplay, and Sylvester Stallone has a writing credit due to the characters that he created. And he did change a lot of Rocky's dialogue to kind of get that feel because Rocky is a very specific character. I
Mhm.
know Stallone plays Stallone in a lot of stuff, but Rocky does have its own little thing.
Yeah,
Um, had a budget of an estimated 35 million, made 173.5 million worldwide, so it was a box office hit.
yeah,
29.6 million opening weekend, um, and is currently streaming on Hulu with a premium subscription, also on TNT and TBS. So if you have cable, you can download those apps with your login provider and watch Creed there. We talked about Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Johnson. Creed, you have Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa, which you having not seen any of the other Rockies, like for real.
mhm,
This was his just seeing that older version of him playing that trainer role.
mhm.
I mean, he just brought something to this character during this film. Um, it was a softer, more gentle side, and I don't know if that's because he was, like I said, older or he got ill in the film.
Mhm.
But you didn't get a lot of that. You get the tough guy Rocky. I mean, Rocky was fighting at I forget how old in the sixth one that came out,
Okay.
and his performance just blew me away. And you can kind of like he got accolades for it. He was nominated for a Golden Globe and an Oscar for this. So he actually won the Golden Globe, but
Yeah.
he was incredible. What did you think about his performance?
I thought it was good. He played an old man.
It was just I wonder how much of this is because it's Rocky or not Rocky, excuse me, Sylvester Stallone. Like
Yeah.
he showed me some chops that I didn't know he had. And
Okay.
and if you tie it in with knowing the character Rocky, I think it makes it that much even that more impressive. I think if you're just watching it off the streets, it's like, all right, then cool. He played this cool old man. But knowing Rocky's storyline throughout all 6 of those previous movies and
Yeah.
seeing him now, him being isolated. Rocky's lost a lot of people in his life. Like Rocky's been through a lot of pain. He's been through a lot of hurt. You can see that in his eyes. You can see that kind of vulnerability that you didn't necessarily get in the earlier movies. So I did appreciate that as we got on. Tessa Thompson as Bianca. Phylicia Rashad as Mary Ann Creed. We have Wood Harris. Yeah, Queen. Absolute Queen, Phylicia Rashad. Wood Harris is Tony Little Duke. And then we do have appearances from some real boxers, professional boxers. Andre Ward, who played Danny the Stuntman Wheeler. Tony Bellew, who played Pretty Ricky Conlon. And Gabe Rosado, Leo the Lion Sperino. So those are actual professional boxers. Andre Ward, that gold medal he was holding up in his HBO boxing promo in this film, that's his. Yeah, he won the gold medal of 2004 Athens Games. Finished his career undefeated. Dog. Like straight up dog.
Okay.
This film was nominated for 65 awards and had 45 wins, which is crazy as far as the ratio. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I do want to give a shout out to a few. I mentioned Sylvester Stallone. He was nominated for Best Performance by Supporting Actor at the Oscars, and he actually won the Golden Globe for the same thing. African American Films Critics Association, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress as far as Tessa Thompson, and Breakthrough Performance for Michael B. Jordan. Black Film Critics Circle Award, Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor for Sylvester Stallone, and Best Supporting Actress. You think Sylvester Stallone will be keeping his Black Awards out? You think he got them on a mantle somewhere for people to see?
I don't think he has any award he has out.
I just love the idea of just walking through Sylvester Stallone crib and you just see a Black Film Critics Circle Award for Creed, like just hanging, like just bright, just what I'm saying, front and center somewhere. The idea of that just makes me smile. I know it's unlikely, but also 2016 Black Reel Awards, Outstanding Actor, Motion Picture, Outstanding Supporting Actress, Director, Original and Adapted Screenplay, and Motion Picture. And 2016 NAACP Image Award, they pretty much won the same exact category. So the acting was given its credit. Yeah. And obviously, I think the most credit goes to Ryan Coogler. I think without this screenplay, without his direction, I don't think this film is halfway as good, which we just talked about as far as Creed 2.
Absolutely.
So speaking of Ryan Coogler, let's have a convo. All right, because we'll talk about the origin of how Creed even came about. Because I mentioned to you, Rocky already existed. Sylvester Stallone had already previously said like Rocky was done. Rocky Balboa, it took a lot to get that film made in 2006. It ended well. Like I said, I think that was a pleasant surprise. People were wondering why are you giving us a Rocky movie 16 years after the last one? It was a pleasant surprise, and it was a good way to wrap up that story.
Okay.
So he was very reluctant. So Coogler's dad had a real connection with Rocky, the film. Okay. Rocky 2 was his favorite movie. So when Coogler was growing up, like before he had like big football games or something like that, his dad would make him watch Rocky 2. So in 2011, his dad got sick with some like random neurological disease, like to the point where he couldn't even walk.
Jesus.
So Ryan Coogler, and look, spoiler alert, his father's better now. They found out it was like a vitamin deficiency of some sort, and he's much better now. But the idea of possibly losing his dad and Ryan Coogler just being a film, savant, he always wanted to dig into that story because they had a personal bond. So he actually played around with it and had a meeting with Sylvester Stallone. And he even said, like during the meeting, he saw Stallone's face was pretty much like, this kid is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like he couldn't see the video. Like this kid's crazy. So he knew, like, he was like, man, this movie's never going to get made, but at least I can show my dad this picture with Sylvester Stallone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty cool. And then Fruitvale happens. And then MGM's like, hold on. Didn't this guy have an idea about a Rocky spinoff? Like, hold on, let's bring him back in. So like, just like, listen, we don't intentionally try to put these Jay-Z quotes in. We should have a category called There's a Hove line for everything. But in Encore, Hove told y'all, when you first come in the game, they try to play you. Then you drop a couple of hits. Look how they wave to you.
Hey.
He had this great idea. They said, nah, Fruitvale takes off. Come back in here. He gets hired in 2013 to actually do the Rocky spinoff. But Sylvester Stallone, he eventually saw the vision. It was like, cool, I'm down with it. And that was big for him because Rocky's his baby.
Yeah.
Like, if people don't know the origin story, like he wrote that script and Hollywood liked it. And it was like, cool, we'll buy it off of you, but you can't star in it. He was like, no, 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 no. Like, I gotta be in this movie.
Oh wow.
He was down on it. He was down bad. Like, he was down bad. That was his last shot. Like, if I'm gonna make it to Hollywood, it's got to be this. Like, this is my most prized possession. He bet on himself. Somebody eventually said, "Cool, you can star in it," and the
Wow.
rest, as they say, is history.
Wow.
So Ryan Coogler kind of had a similar story. Like, all I can do is try, and I think Sylvester actually respected that in him. And Coogler, like I said, he was hired in 2013. Michael B. Jordan said that when they were actually filming Fruitville Station, Ryan Coogler casually came up to him and said, "Hey, man, I got this idea. I'm meeting with MGM about a Rocky spinoff with Apollo Creed's son. I want you to play him." And Michael B. Jordan's like, "All right, cool." And that was literally the conversation.
Oh
Called
wow.
a month later. Called a month later and said, "Yo, we're getting ready to start filming for this." He was like, "All right, bet. Say less."
That's
Um,
uh
that is pretty dope, man. I love that fact that I love when directors and actors just kind of get their own thing. That Scorsese, De Niro type flow.
yeah.
Christopher Nolan and his actors that he uses over and over. Like, I think that's always pretty dope. And as a diehard Rocky fan, Coogler did sprinkle a bunch of like Rocky Easter eggs throughout Creed in the movie. There's a
Okay.
lot of homages to the earlier films. But Stallone being on set was the biggest thing. He got a wealth of knowledge because he had been playing Rocky since 1976. It's almost 40 years at that point. So there's a lot of times where Ryan Coogler would have something in the set and say, I don't think he would do that. For example, there was a moment where he had Rocky when Adonis moved in to Rocky's home for training camp.
Mhm.
He had Rocky throwing water on Adonis to wake him up, and Rocky was like, "I don't think Rocky would do that. Like, how would he do it? He would play old records and just be on some Rocky shit to wake him up." And they
Okay.
changed that in the script, and that's what you see in the movie. So, like I said, he gets a writing credit not only for the characters, but he did give his 2 cents, and it's spot on Rocky. Like I said, you appreciate it more if you've seen the original franchise.
Okay.
Um, Rachel, let me ask you,
Yes.
classic or not?
Yes.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
go.
I love this shit, and I hadn't seen it in quite some time, and so in the rewatch for preparation for this, I was like, "Oh yes, get him!" I was
Right.
invested, and okay, 2015. Not quite 10 years later, but like it's still good. It's held
Mm-hmm.
up. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stamp this as a classic.
Same. Yeah, I thought about it for a second. I'm like, man, I wonder if I sound crazy for saying that, but I'm like, no, I'm sticking with that. This is a classic.
Classic.
I'm not a fan of calling things a classic when they first released, but like you said, it's been 8 years at this point, or it will be 8 years this November. Just like the NFL Hall of Fame, you get 5 years after you retire. Like, I think once you stand the test of time for about 5 years, 10 years,
Hmm.
you can call yourself a classic. And
Yeah.
this is not only a classic; it's a sports classic. It keeps me intrigued. It's a good movie with sports in it, in my opinion. Like, the
Yeah.
storyline and everything is incredible. If you're gonna call Rocky a classic, then you definitely have to call this a classic. Like I said, I
Absolutely.
know it's a different time. I know it came back in '76, but this is a better movie than Rocky. I'm sorry it is. A lot of people will say I'm crazy for that, but the pace of the film and all of that, like, this is more enjoyable. If this is this generation's Rocky one, then they hit it the nail on the head.
And consider
Very
the
much so.
cultural impact of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And it made me want to see, like I said earlier, it made me want to see 3, 4, 5. Like, it made me want to see multiple creeds. And I didn't know if I was gonna feel that way when it first came out. This might be a cool little standalone, but right when it ended, I'm like, okay, then when's the second one coming?
Give me more.
Yeah,
Give me
give me more, and give me the third one. And like you said, that trailer. Once I saw the trailer and knew Jonathan Majors was in it, I'm like, oh, this shit about to be live. Like, I never, because this movie was supposed to come out in November of last year,
Mhm.
and it got pushed back. And I'm like, man, this I can't wait. So I'm glad we finally here. Um, like I said, this one did feel like Rocky 1 and 2. It just wasn't. It was more gritty, like those originals.
Yeah.
The other ones they were more exaggerated.
Okay.
And it's unique, man. This Creed in itself is a unique movie because the story is good enough to make you care about each and every scene. And
Mhm.
that's hard to do in a movie. There's no throwaway scenes. There's no like specific quotes that you really gonna walk around saying. There's
Yeah.
no like iconic scenes, but you care about each one of them. So it's very unique in that manner that all the pieces kind of matter. Like I said, it's not going to trick you with any kind of catchy special dialogue, but the heart of it is what makes it important. Like, I'm sure you don't have to watch the movies, Rachel, the original Rockies, to know or feel that kind of bond and that familial tie between that Creed and Rocky name and everything like that. You just kind of feel that throughout the film.
Right. Because I
Yeah,
did.
you feel you feel the history of these characters. Like, and I can't explain it. It was just there. So it was really, really dope to see. So let's talk about some scenes.
Okay.
You want to get it started? Let's go. I've been talking a lot.
Yeah.
Had a lot of history on. Yeah, given that this is based off something from the 70s, there was just a lot of history that we had to go through. So
yeah, I appreciate it. So I'll go with really just the opening when Marianne comes to pick up Adonis. One, because we'll talk about the strength of a woman to come get a side baby. Out of out of the system, no less, with a history, or not even necessarily history, because he's fighting as she's coming to get him, but with a track of a violent path, that this little boy has been on, despite having not known his father and his mother passing at a very clearly very early age. So we just see that, and just the heart of it. And it made me sad because there really are hundreds or thousands probably of little juvenile detention centers with young Black boys, and they're fighting for their lives just due to pent up aggression and hurt from life circumstance. So that just was beautifully shot, I thought, and a good look at the backstory of what we're going to see when we meet Adonis and who he is and why and how he is, why and what he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
You say something?
I was gonna say they really tapped into that anger, which made a lot of sense, just given his history, like that angry nature in him, mixed with the fighter's blood. It just kind of all tied in together.
Absolutely. And then I'll just go into, because it's more of a Phylicia Rashad thing, is just seeing her be his mother throughout the film. Like, I really, really, really love that. And when he came back after that illegal fight in Mexico and had quit his job, she really was his mom, and I just really, really love that because I adore her. I'll go into Adonis moving to Philly in the first place, and then going to the first gym, going to Duke's gym, or Little Duke. Because you can see a mark. Like, he is very clearly, you come in shining.
That was still in LA, by the way.
Oh, that's LA?
The Delphi's gym. You talking about Wood Harris character?
Yeah.
He's still in LA. He's still in LA. This is before he actually goes to Philly.
Got it. Just kidding. Oh, that's right, because he trained him in all of that shit in LA in season 2 or Creed.
Yeah. Because remember, after what happens at the gym, that's when he has a scene with Phylicia Rashad and his eyes busted, and he's telling her, like, I'm about to go full time.
Yes, got it. That is still in LA. My bad, y'all.
No, that's all good.
But that whole thing is my favorite, just because he really showed up and thought that those little fights in Tijuana was really going to do something, but it's heavy hitters here. We really training. We really doing shit. And the fact that they knew, like, nah, you're not ready for this. And he wasn't. Like, we stopping with the big dogs over here, and you a little nigga low key.
Yo, straight up, like, let me just interject real quick, because boxing is one of my, like, it's a top 3 sport for me. I love boxing.
Really? Okay.
Like, I love boxing. My pops used to watch boxing when I was a kid, and it just kind of became a love from there. But they call it that sweet science. And let me just tell everybody something. I don't know if anybody's ever put on gloves or been in a boxing ring, sparred, anything like that. Boxing is one of the most difficult sports that you can do. And the level of discipline that it takes to be great at that sport is it's off the charts. They boxed 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds. I remember sparring for 90 seconds once and being so winded it didn't make any sense. And just going back to that scene, that is the one sport. Okay? It goes across for all sports, but this one in particular, where you do not come in disrespecting the craft.
Yeah.
Do not disrespect what these niggas do on a day-to-day basis, because like Little Duke told them, these dudes are fighting for their lives out here. You know,
Mhm.
boxing traditionally is like the last resort. Like, I just happen to be good at this, and I'm gonna make. Nobody wants to live a fighter's life. Rocky talked about that throughout this film. It's a big
Mhm.
theme throughout all of the Rocky films. Like, why you want to be a fighter? Why you going putting yourself through this? Don't come in here talking about some you this and you that, because you will get humbled very, very quickly. Because
Yeah.
it's not like football where you can talk about who was better at this and you can't really prove it. You can get in that ring one on one and prove.
Mhm.
You got to throw them hands up. Like, you got
Yeah.
to throw them hands. And he learned real quick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he dropped the first dude, but all right, then you got the character played by Andre Ward, who was a real life undefeated boxer. Like, that's how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to come in and bust your ass.
Hell yeah. Shout out to him losing his car.
Yes, lost the Mustang. I mean, he obviously got it back in Creed 2, so I love that like quick tie. But yeah, bro, you put that Mustang up. I'm taking this whip. Ain't no like, oh, little man, it's gonna be okay. Like,
Yeah.
you learned your lesson. Here's your shit. Nah, bro, I'm taking that thing.
And that's
And you was talking big shit.
yeah, but that's the heart that even though he did have a tumultuous life, but the last 10, 12 years of your life, you've been in Marianne's mansion. Like you've been living large, literally a Fresh
Yeah,
Prince story.
straight up. He really
Literally.
has.
And so we see that, and he carried that attitude to Philly low key. Like, yeah, he was ready to work, but he still wasn't really humble enough. And I wrote that down when Rocky did eventually take him on, and then after the Leo fight, or in preparation for the Leo fight, and he's like, I wanted to work with you, not Padman and them. He's like, nigga, no, get
Right.
me.
This how I work.
You just couldn't see, like, so many times I felt like he was cutting off his nose to spite his face and didn't even know it.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that Bianca, Tessa Thompson's character, pointed that out to him through,
Yeah.
at one point in this film. Like, it seems like going right back. You came here to train with Rocky. Like, you trying to tap into whatever your dad had,
Mm-hmm.
but you act like what you're coming out of your mouth is acting like you don't want to do that. You want to
Yeah.
make your own land, your own legacy, but that's not the case. Your actions say something else.
Because
Like,
if
you
that
love
was
this shit.
the case, you wouldn't be trying to box.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And not only just box, like I said, find Rocky,
Mm-hmm.
like build this special bond, like you calling him Unc, like there's something there, and you
Right.
tapping into that, whether you want to admit it or not. So I
Right.
agree with you 100%.
Right.
What else you got scenes wise?
Yeah. Off the dribble, him meeting Bianca in the first place, like,
Mm-hmm.
we know she's gonna be a pivotal character.
Mm-hmm.
So just seeing that, and then her character story, unfortunately, she had progressive hearing loss, but just his interest in her. And I've got their first date, or her taking him to go get that Philly cheesesteak. And it reminded me of that Eve skit on the First Lady of Rough Riders. Mayonnaise, bell pepper. Every time I see that scene, I immediately think of that. This ain't no Philly cheesesteak. I'm from Philly. Philly.
Hey, can I give a shout out to you real quick, because you an R&B girl. So the fact that you just made a rap reference like that, I just want to give you your flowers and shout you out for that. I appreciate
Okay.
that. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
And I'm gonna take them. But let me tell
Yeah.
you, I was the illest vicious pit bull in the skirt, making them hurt. If one of my old Twitter tags was Ray P the Blonde Bombshell or something to that effect. Am I blind because of Beyonce and Eve and Mary J. Blige? Maybe.
Hey, man, I'm about to say, still holds true. Still holds true. And I can 100% see it. I can 100% see it.
You could not, first off, everybody knows I was in love with DMX. So you could not tell me that I was not actually the first lady of Rough Rider. So I was very confused when Eve came about.
Yeah, where you come from? Why you claiming my name?
But that first album, like down pat, that was my shit. So
I ain't mad at you.
I
Shout out
could
to
have been a
you.
rap girl. I lived a different life at that time also. So don't let
Um,
the Catholic school fool you.
we know you don't live the life. You know what I'm saying? On and off the boulevard.
I have
On and off the
lived it,
boulevard.
baby.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Oh,
I didn't want to interrupt your point. I have a question for you, but
yes.
I want you to finish
No,
your point you was
go
gonna
ahead.
make about that scene. So, how do you feel about the love story between Creed and or Donnie, should I say, and Bianca? Like, as far as overall throughout this film, because watching and especially prepping for this, their love story and their romance does play a big part. Especially, I don't know if it's because like and this is a very, very far stretch because it's a completely different time length.
Mhm.
I don't know if it has anything to do with like LeBron breaking the scoring record recently, but watching these films, I think no, watching these films, especially seeing where they are now going into Creed Theory and the bond that they built, it was fun to see it, the spark and the origin of it. And
Yeah.
they kind of like on some like got each other's back, real dope, like Bron
Yeah.
and Vanna type shit, like
Mhm.
where they just tight and they hold each other down. You know that they like. I've not once ever thought that Donnie was gonna be on some like fuck shit and try to cheat on her. Like they just ride for each other. They support each other. You see a lot of that in Creed 2. Him
Mhm.
supporting her, at her concerts and all of that. Like they really clicked it off. It was a very instantaneous, chemistry in my opinion. What did you feel about their love story?
I loved their story. And this is again a testament to Ryan Coogler. Just the beautiful moments of if you never had a nigga take your braids down, have you ever been in love? Or
That's
just
like
my hair in general, like, hey man, shout out to all the men taking braids down and doing whatever else y'all be doing.
extremely intimate, extremely intimate.
Extremely intimate because get your hands out of my head unless I want them there. But I love their story. There were moments where I felt like she was being a little extra, but then I had to take into consideration like how much time had passed between him moving, them having that first date essentially, and him meeting Rocky and Rocky moving him in. Like, I felt like she was looking for transparency instantaneously off the bat from him. And I was like,
Really?
no, I don't know if I would have shared so many of those things either, like about Rocky Balboa being his uncle, Apollo Creed being his father. Maybe at some point, that's I couldn't get the timeline, and that's a real big thing for me, especially given his truly internal struggle with who he was and who Apollo was to him. So I
Yeah.
don't know, like you being that mad about not knowing.
That's one thing that I do have written down for things that bother me. I just
Mhm.
think that was a way like that was a big time overreaction. Now,
Yeah.
maybe I can see it in the sense of in the Rocky world,
Mm.
Apollo Creed is Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Like you see a reference throughout, and they do a good job throughout this film of making sure, for those who haven't seen it, for the rapies out there, like Apollo Creed was a big deal.
Yeah.
On PTI, Michael Wilbon said, I have him as my best fighter.
Mm.
Bianchi even said, like, when are you gonna tell me your dad was the most famous fighter to ever live, like, or in the world? Like, so I don't know if she was mad because like, oh, this is a big deal. Like, why didn't you tell me this? But she definitely overreacted to me.
Yeah. And as somebody who always says, omission is betrayal, it just didn't feel like that, especially given his attitude and his situation. Like, I'm not trying to ride off my dad's coattails, even though I am. And I do want to make a name for myself, and I don't know him. And maybe there was a part of him that did not feel worthy of or entitled to the legacy that he's birthed into.
He definitely didn't. He said that at the end of the film in the final fight. Like, I want
I
to
gotta
make sure, like,
prove
I want to prove I'm not a
it.
mistake. Yeah, like he definitely didn't feel that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? He's the we talk about Game of Thrones a lot. Like, well, we don't talk about it on the pod, but we talk about it off of here.
Yeah.
Um, he's a bastard. He's a
Mm.
bastard child. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean as much in today's world as it did back then. But when you
Down
have this high profile athlete,
Mhm.
like Apollo Creed, the greatest of all time, all of a sudden you got this side baby from nowhere.
Mhm.
That's something I'm sure he doesn't want to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Oh,
But I was just curious of your thoughts on in the love story. I love where it's been and going, and looking forward to more of it in Creed 3. I didn't think love was going to play that big of a role in this franchise.
but isn't love a part of every successful man's life?
Yeah, it is. And what am I saying? Rocky and Adrian, like his restaurant's named after Adrian. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You just said Adrian. Like the people that never seen Rocky know that part. Adrian. So
Mhm.
yeah, you're right. I don't know why I'm acting like I'm so surprised, but
Me
they
neither.
did a beautiful they did a beautiful job with it.
They really, really did. Um, the Leo fight, and I like that before we even get to the fight, but when Rocky decided to take on Adonis's offer to train him and just come see him, I have written down that I really liked how everybody got on their shit in the gym when they seen Rock come in. And it made everybody else take a look at Adonis because they really wasn't paying this nigga no attention up in here. You know, like we're focused on what we got going on. Yeah, you can come hit the bag, do whatever you do, but we working on real shit. This big boy talk over here again because you're not him. Seeing Rocky, seeing the improvements, that was dope to me, and just that thought that they had, like nigga, we've been asking coming here. I like that.
Yeah, you know what that reminds me of in another film?
What?
Finding Forrester.
Okay, your movie.
Forrester, yeah, my movie. That's one of my favorite movies. When William Forrester came at the end of the film to go speak to the, read Jamal Wallace's words, the one that he got banned for, because he didn't know that they were William Forrester's. Just that once that room found out, like, oh, I'm here for Jamal. He's a friend of mine. This is Jamal Wallace. Like the way they looked at him and had a different revere, it's kind of the same thing. So that's a great comparison that you just mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've been talking because I'm about to go through this whole movie. So
Nah, you good. Keep going. I can piggyback. I got some additional thoughts with some of the scenes you mentioned. If you want me to interject on a couple of things.
No, just the whole bike scene. Once Adonis really started training, the jog up to North Philly from wherever the fuck that was at. I'm assuming South Philly because it was a pretty lengthy trip. Him being introduced to the bikes and that bike culture of Philly. Once he was preparing for the Pretty Boy Conlon fight, when they had again the bike scene, and it reminded me of Ali with running through the village and all the kids behind him, the whole Ali Boumaier. That's what him and the bikers reminded me of in preparation for that fight. I was like, oh, okay, little Ali nod, maybe not, but that's what it felt like to me. Obviously the big fight, I'm not gonna say any of the cancer scenes because that's sad, but when he goes to Bianca's show and ruins it low-key.
Absolutely, of course.
I definitely have that written down. One, because he wasn't in a good headspace, and I don't know, what's the rapper? Was he somebody real?
Yeah, Tone Trump.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Tone Trump. Yeah, that's a real rapper.
All that Philly shit I just did. Look at me.
Yeah, it's cool. Go ahead, man. Just stay on your hot street.
I stay on my lane. I thought that was dope. One, not dope, but when your head is not in it, you don't want to hear that shit. I thought he was OD, but I also know that you in your feelings. Like, did you feel like him calling him Baby Creed was a little shade? Like it just had a little something on it? Or did you feel like it was truly just respect?
Nah, it was respect. It was meant as respect. But Donnie wasn't trying to hear that shit. Like, cause he was in that space, like you just mentioned. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Baby Creed, like that's no different than being Baby Jordan, baby. You know what I'm saying? Baby, like it wasn't no disrespect. That's who you are. You Baby Creed. Like we're not saying that like you a sucker. Like Creed, that nigga. Like you Baby Creed. Muhammad Ali had a son, Baby Ali. Like it wouldn't be no like.
It wasn't.
He asked him. Okay. He asked him like, "Yo, I'll come get this picture with me for the gram."
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? It wasn't no thing. Like he a star in his own right. And people, because of his pop's name, he's not a star, but because of his name. Right. He draws attention, like you said, right. So they wanted him over.
Okay,
I didn't take it as shade. I think Donnie was just on one.
And he was on one, but I don't know why I felt like it was just a little something on it, especially when he was talking to Bianca, like, what you can't speak. Like, I felt like it was just a skosh, a smidgen of sauce on there.
You might be right. I'm not saying that that's not possible. Yeah. I just think that I don't think it was meant like little nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he meant it in that sense. I just think he meant like
bow wow him, but maybe he was trying to little Romeo him or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, man. He was trying to. There was definitely something there a little bit, but I don't think it was like an disrespectful. But I think Donnie. Yeah, but his reaction was like, I mean,
Oh,
I guess you could argue, you can argue your sense. Not even Donnie's, but I think Donald Trump's reaction, you could argue, was a little bit like he was looking for a reason as well, which would support your side of things.
exactly.
So
Exactly. That was what I was thinking. Like, nigga, you a little bit too about it. And okay, nobody is supposed to just take disrespect because Donnie did disrespect him, you know.
mhm.
Um, but I don't know. It felt a little shady, like maybe you and Bianca might have had a little thing, or you were trying to press up on her before and she wasn't really having it. So
You know what? Let's talk. Let's let me think about this because I'm thinking about this scene in my head right now, and I'm thinking about how Donnie actually reacted. You know what I'm saying? All right, good look, baby, Craig. He said, "Don't call me that." He said,
Mhm.
"What?" And then he clarified, "You called me baby Creed." I said, "Don't call me that." Like I don't even know if Donnie was really going at it in no really crazy manner. Like he just corrected somebody, like no different than somebody calls me Kieran. You know,
Yeah,
my name's Kyron.
yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't call me that. Like that's not my name, or calls me out of my name in general. Like I'm
Because
checking. And
he could have just been like, "Oh, Donnie,
and
just
at that point, you have a decision to make. Like, you know what? My bad.
yeah."
That is not your name. I'm not gonna call you that. And I see you serious about it. Because if
Hmm.
I'm in that situation and I'm telling Trump, right, and I didn't mean anything by it, and you took it away, and I see you serious about it,
Oh, my bad,
it
G.
ain't even that deep, bruh. My
Yeah.
bad. I ain't even mean it like that. Maybe
Hmm.
there's a flip side of them that yo, this is my city, this is my show.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
nigga, who you using that tone with?
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of that to it. And I think that's what probably started the action. And like you said, there might have been a little bit because he told me I could like, I know you know.
Come
Like,
on.
so there's a little bit of something there. A little bit of something there. Like I said, it's a mixture. It was a perfect storm. But at the end of the day, you can't wreck your girl's shit like that. You got to put your pride to the side. And
Yeah.
she made the perfect point. Like, if I came to one of your fights wilding out, like, how would you feel? Especially in the music industry, especially the underground music industry, where
Yeah.
you really scrapping for every single opportunity you get.
Mhm.
That's not a good look. Not
And
a good
who
look.
knows what she would have had because we're not gonna get into it because I think that she not only popped but primarily popped in Creed 2 was because of who Adonis was.
Yeah, listen. That's that nepotism at its finest. Nepotism at its finest. It reigns supreme.
This, yeah.
It reigns supreme.
So
You mentioned the bike culture scene.
mhm.
I just want to shout out how great it is to see Philadelphia play a major character
Yeah.
in Creed as well as the Rocky series,
Mhm.
but yet they're so different. The
Yeah.
same character, which is the city of Philadelphia, but
Mhm.
two completely different sides of it. They really dug into the culture for Creed.
It's a really two Americas thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Did you have any other scenes before I kind of went through some of mine?
No, not really. I mean, the big fight, obviously, again, everything with Marianne, her gifting Adonis the trunks with both Johnson and Creed's name, and then just her watching the fight, even though she said she wasn't going to be watching
Come on, you know she watching that fight.
Black Mama, you know,
Yeah, you know she watching that fight.
and all of her, because that was me literally on the couch, like, get that motherfucker.
You know she watching that fight, man.
Yeah.
So all right, I got a few I just want to run through.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
My bad. If y'all see me keep drinking water on YouTube, you know, I think last week I had the Evian bottle. Oh, I shouldn't have said it, but I had the bottle. I took the labels off because ain't nobody paying us yet. So, you know, no free promo, even though I did give them a shout out. I ain't gonna edit that out. Maybe they'll listen. A few things that I wanted to go through. Let's see. I'll save my favorite scene of this film for last.
Okay.
We mentioned Adonis meeting Bianca, just the knocking on the door, crazy. Like him not knowing who was on the other side of that door, just hearing the music, and
Mm-hmm.
him really like he put his foot to the door. Like, bruh, I would not like for real. I'll wring your neck. Like, what you want? And just that, like I said, you said that first interaction, the look on his face, like he
Mm-hmm.
was just
Smitten.
awestruck. Like he was smitten ASAP. Like, hi. Like he
Uh-huh.
wasn't expecting for that to go down like that, and her slamming the door in his face, turning that music right back up. Like, fuck
Period.
what you talking about? Um, to him asking her out. I love that scene. There's something about that scene, and I wish I could really put it in proper words. When he knocked and asked her, "Yo, I heard you down here working.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see if you was hungry, grab some food."
Cheese
And
steak
there was some kind of genuine
with a
cheesecake
cheese.
that you make. Where the beat go? But nah, there was something real genuine about him asking her out.
Yeah.
He was really, really interested. It wasn't like he wanted to spend some time with her,
Mhm.
and he wanted to go about it in like a proper way. And her hesitation, even he was like, you know what, it's cool. Like I didn't even mean to overstep like this. Like I thought it was gonna be a simple, and then just her realizing like, all right, then like I'm interested too. Let me put this guard down a little bit. And they actually ended up going. Like I said, it just sparked what we see now going into Creed 3. And I just thought that was beautiful because they had a real. It's beautiful what can happen when you just like yourself and you have an honest, authentic time with someone
Yeah.
because they had a real conversation. Like they learned a lot about each other that first time eating, and it didn't seem like it was any pressure. It was like on some real getting to know each other type shit. You know, he
Except
learned how to.
was.
You said what?
Except who his dad was.
Yeah, except for that part. But he learned about that first day. He learned about her selective hearing. Like that's something real to talk about the first time you meet somebody. So
Absolutely.
you, like I said, that chemistry off the bat was just incredible, and just they were very open and honest with each other for the most part. A little bit of omission
Mhm.
um, with each other from jump, and I thought that was real dope. I thought that was real dope, and just her thinking that he was a square.
Yeah.
As somebody, I'm not gonna say people have ever thought I was a square, but I've definitely got in my life like I didn't know you was like that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? The image of you is not who like I thought you was like that. You know what I mean? Oh, I didn't even know you did. Like, you know what I'm saying? I've gotten that
Oh,
before. So I thought
same.
that was yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. Like because I love it. It ties into the scene where after the Leo fight when he knocks him out, when she comes in the ring, like I didn't know you had hands like that. He like, nah, but I'm a square though, right? I'm a square. Like I love that. Like I said, just going back into their chemistry and their relationship. And it's dope to just see Bianca create and perform. I'm sure the same way for her it is to see like um Adonis like train and be disciplined and stuff like that. Like I need me an R&B X for real. I need to find me a Bianca out here somewhere.
Good luck.
Yeah, man. R&B X just sounds good. Like just to say I had an R&B and R&B X. I don't know. The training sequence that was just called back to the original Rocky. Him
Okay.
chasing those chickens. That's
Mhm.
Rocky One. As
Okay.
part of his training. I think obviously the most famous from Rocky One is the meat freezer. Him beating up the meat and stuff like that. Pause. Um, Adonis and Leo's fight. We talked about that. I just love the way it was shot.
Yeah.
They did an incredible job with that. I think they used 13 takes. They shot it with a steady cam, or not a steady cam, but it was like one solid shot. Like it
Okay.
wasn't cut up. And they had 13 different takes. They actually used the 11th take in the movie. So what we see, but it was like the fighting sequences throughout the film were incredible. And they choreographed those, and
Mhm.
they were all on point. I loved them. The backstage fight, which we covered already, Rocky and Donnie in jail.
Mhm.
Just want to cover on that. I just think that was like real sincere acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Donna's going back to that character trait of him just being angry, lashing out, not really knowing how to communicate,
Mhm.
feeling in that space where he was when he was in, him in jail was, I think, symbolic to him being in the, juvenile detention center
Mhm.
in the beginning of the film. Just that anger, just that's the same character, just seeing him as an adult.
Yeah.
And then the best scene I think in this film is Adonis going to Adrian's and meeting Rocky for the first time.
Okay.
That
I
is the best film. That is the best scene in this film, mainly for the people who are familiar with Rocky,
Okay.
because that scene in itself is what tied both of these worlds together.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I just think they did it very beautifully. They did it early in the movie, and it was just a real like you felt that energy in that room, like yo, I am, a part of Rocky, a part of his life that he thought was just over. And he still lives with every day because, for those who don't know, in Rocky Ford, he was the one in the ring. He was in Apollo's corner. He
Mhm.
had the ability to throw the towel. Like
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
Duke, the trainer, was the one that could throw the damn towel. If you ever seen that gif, he was yelling at Rocky to throw the towel because he was about to get Apollo about to get killed in this ring, bro. And he didn't
Mhm.
throw it because that's like a big thing in boxing, that pride.
Yeah.
Let me fight. Like, you know what I'm
And
saying?
he
Let me
said
get knocked out.
that in the ring with Adonis.
Yeah. So that let me fight. So he let him die. So it's like I live with this, and now I'm seeing this kid that I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know Apollo was out here, on that. There's a deleted scene where he asked him if he knew that Apollo was cheating and stuff like that. They took it out the movie. Same way where there's a deleted scene with Felicia Rashad's character. He called her to ask like if he could use the Creed name. She was still upset with him, but for the fight with Pretty Ricky Conlan,
Mhm.
it explains a couple of things that we see in the movie. But either way, the third fight, that's a reference to something that happened at the end of Rocky 3. You know,
Okay.
the third fight between Apollo, and obviously this was revealing who won. Do
Mhm.
you think that, I know you don't know anything about the originals, but do you think that Apollo really won that fight, or you think Rocky said that as a, even if I won, I'm not gonna tell you?
Oh no, I felt like Apollo really won that fight.
Me too. I do too. I do too. I don't think he withheld anything, but it was just beautifully shot. It was just a lot of history. All those photos on the wall. There's actually the painting. If you look at that scene, there's like a watercolor painting. It's a huge painting that's in the background.
Mhm.
Um, that's a picture of the third fight. It's like a painting of it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But there's all that history and just him like, yo, I'm back. Like, I want you to get in my corner. Like, this is how this whole story jumps off for real between the two. And like I said, just the merging of those worlds from the past and present. I
Okay.
just thought it was beautiful. That's my favorite scene in the whole film
Yeah.
because it's important.
I had Rocky meeting Adonis written down, but met obviously not knowing all of that backstory other than what we got. But for me, it was just because this is him seeking out his uncle and immediately giving him that deference and okay, Unc, like I'm about to be in your life and you don't even know what yet. So I like that for that aspect of it. And now for
Yeah,
everything that you just said, that's dope.
yeah, absolutely. And I do love how comfortable Adonis was, like just off the rip.
Very
Like
much so. Like
he's
we knew each other already.
yeah, like you think like you play such a big role in my life, and I've never met you, but like I feel like I've known you my whole life, and
Mhm.
you just gonna roll from there. Called him Unc, pulled up on him without any kind of issue. Like Rocky was confused, trying to get adjusted. You know,
The OG.
offered himself to move in.
Mhm.
All of that. So I just love that relationship and how it built. I am really upset that he's not going to be in the third one. Sylvester Stallone.
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah, there was some kind of like they couldn't get on the same page about a couple different things with the script. I'm not sure the full story.
Okay.
I did read a couple different things, but he's not going to be in the third film at all.
Okay.
So it's going to be the first Rocky film without Rocky. Well, it's a Creed series now, but
New series. It's
you
different.
know,
It's new.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Did you have any more scenes that you wanted to go through?
No.
Yeah. Final fight. Just want to think one of the most incredible boxing scenes in sports. One of the best sports scenes, I think.
Hmm.
When you really look at the fight and that choreography, just the intensity of it, it didn't look cheesy at all. The fact that he lost,
It was
um,
so graphic.
yeah, the fact that he lost similar to the original Rocky, it was incredible. You know,
Hmm.
it's really incredible.
It really was. I'm not a boxing girl. Like obviously, no, Muhammad Ali. Ha! No, the names of people in some historic aspect, but I'm not. You don't ever have to ask me, do you want to go to the fight? Because no,
Right. Nah, that's something you ain't about to do, huh?
I'm not gonna do it. Don't get no blood on me. Are you fucking crazy? No.
All
Mm-mm.
right. I think we got scenes out the way. We good.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't have a lot of quotes. I have one quote written down. Did you have anything?
I didn't have any quotes written down.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't really try to get you with too much dialogue, but every single piece of dialogue is
It's
important, but it's
important.
not catchy.
Hmm.
The only thing that there's a few things that made me laugh, mostly about Rocky, just because of his demeanor and the way he delivered lines, the cloud lines, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the one when he's moving out, when Donnie's moving out, and Bianca's looking through the window, like, that's your uncle? He's white. Rocky looks up like, yeah, long time. I
Yeah.
just always laugh when he says that. Just, scene stealer.
Tessa Thompson.
I think she did a real good job. I don't think she's discussed about enough throughout
Yeah.
the film, especially when it first came out. It was a big, lot of discussion about Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone, rightfully so. But Tessa Thompson kind of put a heartbeat into this film
Hmm.
and made her imprint in this franchise. I think that's why they kind of shifted a lot of her story
Yeah.
in the second one because I don't think she was necessarily written to be that important. I
Hmm.
think she kind of took control of that role and made it that way.
She's a quiet force, man.
She is. Tessa
She's
Thompson's a G.
yeah, I love her.
She's a G. Like she's one of my favorite actors right now. Like without question.
Even just silent facial expression, she every scene she just brought. So I'm giving it to her.
Okay, then I'm not mad at you. I'll go with you. I didn't have anything written down because there weren't any like those underlying characters.
Mm.
I think I could say stuff with Sylvester Stallone, but I mean he's a main character.
Yeah. Little Duke, not
Being
yet.
a little Duke, Wood Harris is my dude, but he did much better in the second one.
In the second one, and he had more to do.
Yeah, more to do and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna go Tessa Thompson as well. That's a very solid choice.
Okay.
Things that bother you. You got anything?
We kind of already touched on it, just her being over the top mad about not knowing that he was Apollo's son. I didn't really have anything that too much bothered me, and it's the same thing like going through scenes. I couldn't think of anything that we didn't need in the movie. So
Yeah, every scene mattered. For me, this is just some sports, very nitpicky stuff, and I'm not the first person to say this. This was a discussion. Apollo died in 1985, and this movie came out in 2015, which is set present day. So the fact that you have a 30-year-old like contending for the heavyweight champion, like boxing is a young man's sport.
yeah.
So that's just a little thing where it's like,
Okay.
but it's very, very small and nitpicky. I think you really got to be into boxing or maybe into that kind of stuff to really see like, that's not necessarily the most realistic.
Mhm.
But you got to do what you got to do for the story. So not enough to bother me to where I can't call it a classic.
Right. Okay.
Cultural moments, not really, not too many cultural moments. Any
Philly.
actors from Philly, excuse me, Philly dirt bikes, just that side of Philly, North Philly, like all
Yeah.
of that, man.
Cheesesteaks, all of that.
Yeah, shout out to Eve.
Freestyling.
Shout out to
Freestyling
Eve.
with your nigga. Culture.
That's
Yeah.
definitely culture. Taking down braids. Yeah, there's a lot of cultural moments. We tripping. Yeah,
Talking
we just said a
about
lot of them. Yeah. Any actors from The Wire? My
wildin'.
category. Absolutely. You got 3 actors from The Wire in this film. 3 actors. You got Michael B. Jordan, of course, who played Wallace. The legendary Wood Harris. The legendary. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
We teased this top 50 actors list that we're going to make. This top 50 black actors list. Is Wood Harris in your top 50?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I love him.
Wood Harris is not just in my top 50. Like, I'm sure Wood Harris is in my top 25.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that for now because I don't want to, I haven't really thought about that list too much, but he's up there. Wood Harris is my dude, man. He played Avon Barksdale on The Wire.
Mhm.
You have Brian Anthony Wilson. He played Detective Vernon Holly on The Wire. His character in Creed is the boss. He's James, the boss who Adonis gives his resignation letter to at the beginning, saying, "Hey, what you gonna do?" Like, he did play in The Wire as well. Underrated soundtrack. I think the soundtrack for this film was really good.
Okay.
When it came out in 2015, I'm not sure if you've ever heard it or
I have
you
not.
listened to it. Yeah, but it's pretty underrated soundtrack for what you got. I really enjoyed it. Wouldn't let that happen to me. You got anything?
Mm-mm.
Me neither. Nothing for that. I do have some trivia.
Let's go.
So rest in peace to Sylvia Mills. She passed away in 2011. She is the actor who played Mrs. Creed in Rocky 2 and 4.
Okay.
So the original actor who played that, she passed away obviously before this film was made. Felicia Rashad reprised that role, but I just want to give a shout out to her. Victor Cafe, if you are in the Philly area or visit the Philly area, go to Victor Cafe. That is a restaurant that was transformed into Adrian's for this film.
Okay.
Michael B. Jordan went through intense boxing training to perform this role. He did not have a body double. He also took a knockout punch as his initiation in the Rocky. So Sylvester Stallone said in each Rocky film, he had actually really gotten knocked down.
Okay.
It was kind of like an initiation thing. So there's a clip of, it's actually the scene in the final fight.
Okay.
When he takes that punch that like has him daydreaming, that's a real punch. He got knocked out for real. Like he described it as in cartoons when you see stars, when the cartoons see the birds and the twerking, he said that's what my brain felt like to take a real punch like that from a professional fighter. So
did he need intense therapy after?
If you don't know what Rachel's talking about, go back and listen to our Black Panther episode. Go back and listen to our Black Panther episode. You a fool for that. But yeah, Sylvester Stallone told him, like, nah, you gotta take one. You gotta take one, bro.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
initiation.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Initiation. While training, Adonis wears a shirt that says, "Why do I want to fight? Because I can't sing and dance." Once again, that's a callback to the original Rocky. Rocky told that to Adrian on their first date at the skating rink when they went ice skating. That's why he's fighting. Just as this film was entering pre-production, Sylvester Stallone's oldest son, Sage Stallone, died of a heart attack.
Oh, Jesus.
And Sylvester Stallone admitted that the loss almost sent him into a full breakdown. Ryan Coogler was actually able to convince him to use this film as a dedication to his son Sage, and focusing specifically on that father-son relationship. We talked about it. Coogler made this for his dad, kind of like the same thing. Like, hey, man, this is why I made this film. You can use this to get dedicated to your son. And it really, Rocky admitted at the Golden Globes, like this helped him with the grieving process a lot, this film, and the whole nine. And that photo, when Adonis moves into the house and he's in Paulie's room, and that photo that he's holding up, and he said, "Who's this? My son." That's his actual real son. That is Sage, his son.
Oh, wow.
Not, it's not the actor from the Rocky film. That's his real life son. So that was their tribute to his son in the film by showing that picture.
That's dope.
Yeah, that's actually real dope. And it was Sylvester Stallone was the one who requested that Adonis wear those American flag trunks. They're iconic in the Rocky franchise. He said, "Hey, I just want to keep this legacy alive. Let's see if we can add these trunks in." Like I said, they got the Creed and the Johnson on them. Classic Rocky stuff. That's one of those things in the theater where people saw him as, gave a cheer. And Carl Weathers approved of the film. He was a real big fan of it and gave the full support to it. And Michael B. Jordan said that just meant a lot to him, just to make sure he carried that name and that legacy. So
good.
We talked a lot about it, man. Creed is a classic. Creed is here. We're gearing up for Creed 3. I expect nothing but great things. I cannot wait to see it. Cannot wait to see it, man, to discuss it. We probably won't have a full episode on it for quite some time, but sure, me, myself, Rachel, in school, we'll discuss it. Just kind of have our own takes on it and see where it goes and see if there's a possibility for a Creed 4 and how that's going to look. Time, you never know. You never know.
We shall.
Absolutely. Anything else that you want to see or to discuss from this episode?
No, I'm excited. You already touched on it. I'm just ready for the next one.
Yeah. Shout out to boxers, man. That's a crazy lifestyle. This is a crazy sport. There's no union, no like benefits, no health. Like it's a crazy, wild sport. I hope that they get a lot of that stuff settled. I know people think of like, the crazy cash amounts, Mike Tyson getting paid $35 billion for a fight. Yeah. Floyd Mayweather getting crazy amounts of money. That's very, very rare. Those are cash cows. That not everybody's like that. It's a gruesome lifestyle and it's a grinding lifestyle. Like I said, it's a last resort type of thing. So shout out to all the boxers out there, man. Shout out to their mental health, the whole nine. Like, cause it is something that's crazy, but I appreciate when a film can really take boxing and breathe some new life into it. Me being a boxing fan. Can't wait to talk about more Creed. Can't wait to talk about there's another boxing movie I can't wait to do, which is Great White Hype. Love that movie. Okay. Absolutely love that movie. Shout out to Samuel L. Jackson. But with that being said, Too High, Too Low, Just Right. The average viewer rates this film 7.6 out of 10. Rachel, Too High, Too Low, Just Right. What you got it at?
Too low. 8.5.
I'm going 8. I'm a little bit lower than you. I'm going 8. Okay. But it's really good. Really, really, really good. Really good movie. It takes a lot to get an 8.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to get an 8. Like, there's only a few movies that we've done that's gotten 8 and above. So, Creed is real good. Stands the test of time 8 years later. Okay. Shout out to Ryan Coogler. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Shout out to Sylvester Stallone, Tessa Thompson, Wood Harris, everybody involved in the franchise. Queen Felicia Rashad. Creed 3 out this Friday. Check it out.
I'm ready. I don't even know if I'm going to see it because I don't have time Friday or Saturday. I might sneak Monday night or Sunday night and just go.
Hey, we're going to work it out. I'm going to see it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to work it out. But with that being said, we'll be back next week with another episode. Y'all be cool. How y'all be cool?
Peace out. The cut.
Peace.